Time now for the word on Wall Street. Top investors watching your money. Joining me now is Dominaria Securities CEO Kyle Wohl. Also with me is Mark Tepper. Kyle, good morning. We're going to start with you taking a look at futures this morning. As you can see, Dow futures are higher in the pre-market by about 60 points. We're watching this. You do have a better start to the day than we had at the close last night. S&P is up by 10 and a quarter. NASDAQ by 35 and a quarter. Bitcoin, a big story. It briefly dropped below 70,000. The sell-off continues. We see a risk-off situation happening in the markets, a $1 trillion wipeout. Investors are rotating out of mega-cap technology. They're moving into broader growth plays. A lot of AI fears are driving this sharp sell-off for a second straight day. Software, chip makers leading losses as markets reprice AI and that valuation risk. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang pushing back on the software sell-off, dismissing fears that AI is going to replace software tools. He calls this idea, quote, illogical. Huang says that AI depends on existing software, not replacing it. Kyle, what do you make of these massive moves between Bitcoin and these AI stocks?
Yeah, there's definitely some volatility in the market right now, but I like to bet on winners, and I think Jensen Huang is an absolute winner, and I agree with him. It's illogical to sell off. Even if you look at Google or Alphabet over the last 1 year from today, it's still up 74%. I think the best way to invest in the stock market over 10-year periods is to buy in the dips and to buy dips, especially in the large cap tech stocks. I think there's a real opportunity here. If you do continue to see the sell-off, to go in and dollar cost average into some of the names like Alphabet and Apple and NVIDIA. I would be a buyer of them if they continue to sell off. Bitcoin's a different story, right? You had a really interesting year. You had gold up tremendous. You had silver up tremendous, probably overreaching quite a bit on silver, in my opinion, and that's why you're having a massive correction. But Bitcoin's really settling in here, and I'm not a huge proponent of Bitcoin, but I'd be buying Bitcoin here. I do think Bitcoin will revert to the mean, and I would not be surprised 6 months from now if Bitcoin's trading at over 100,000, if not 110,000.
Interesting. Yeah, we're at 69 and change right now, as we can see on our screen. Mark Tepper, Maria has sat down with Jensen Huang and, of course, Sarah Fryer from OpenAI. Obviously, this was the topic in Davos. Listen to this.
We're investing in these companies and we're getting shares back for them. Now, these are the opportunity to invest in OpenAI, the opportunity to invest in Elon's xAI or Anthropic. These are fantastic investment opportunities. There's some of the best investments in human history is being created right now. And so we make an investment in them. We partner with them. The investments that we make in them is a small percentage of our overall revenue. So obviously, they still have to raise most of the money themselves. But it's a great opportunity for us to be a partner to them, invest some small amount into them.
I'd say they're not circular. There's a little bit of an implication that there's a circular economy, that there's not the demand. When you think about investing today, you're actually investing in real demand, right? We are the fastest growing company in history, $20 billion in just 3 years. That is an amazing business. So I think the investments that we're seeing are actually great investments, as Jensen just said. In AMD, that's actually a different way that I'm thinking about how we finance things going forward.
Well, look, I got to tell you, I own a few computers with NVIDIA chips. I own a few with AMD chips. And since I bought those chips, I would like to buy those stocks for pennies on the dollar as well. So it sounds like circular deals to me, not to mention the fact that there was all this talk about this NVIDIA and OpenAI deal for $100 billion, which now is in jeopardy. We're not talking about a $1 billion deal that might fall through, a $100 billion deal. So I'm a little concerned about those.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll see how these stocks trade today. Also, the United States is proposing this new critical minerals trade bloc to counter China's dominance by setting price floors, using tariffs, aligning policy with key allies. This includes Mexico, the EU, and Japan. We saw Secretary of State Marco Rubio really leading the charge here. They signed new bilateral agreements with 11 countries. They're negotiating talks with 17 more. The Secretary of State launched the Forge partnership, pushing coordinated investment, stockpiling. He wants to secure supply chains critical to tech and defense. Now, China's pushing back on this. They're warning this undermines the global trade order. They're calling for open and inclusive trade. Kyle, I want you to listen to this because Maria had this great interview with Italy's Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, talking about the critical mineral issue and this collective. Listen to this.
today in Washington. Italy will want to work with the Americans for having a common strategy on raw materials, because Italy is an industrial country, the second most important industrial country in Europe, the fourth on trade in the world. For this is important for us to have low prices for raw materials. In this moment, China is the queen of the prices of the raw material. China decides the price of raw materials. If we want to compete at global level, we need to have a common market. For this, we need to work Europeans, Americans, Japan, South Korea, with the Africans and South America for low prices, to have another market for the competition, for helping our companies.
Pretty amazing, Kyle.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier that the president of the United States is doing this. Sometimes you need short-term pain for long-term results. And we do have a problem with rare earth. Now, rare earth, people just throw the word around like it's rare earth. It's really not that rare. It's rare to find countries where you can make it cost-effective, because it's very toxic and it really breaks a lot of the environmental rules. But I think with AI now, and I think with robotics, that'll be changing. And you got to look at some of the materials that are actually absolutely crucial to defense, like tungsten. There's only so much tungsten out there that's not in Chinese control. Without tungsten, SpaceX can't shoot a rocket. We can't shoot a cruise missile. So some of these, it's very, very important that we start investing private along with the public markets.
Yeah, and when China started to push back and hold back materials needed in particular for defense, to your point there, that is when this conversation really became crucial for the United States. Kyle Wohl, thank you so much for being with us. Mark Tepper, you're going to stay with us all morning long. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Mornings with Maria.